What is up, everybody? Welcome into the program. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Senior hanging out here with you. And with Christmas coming up, Merry Christmas in advance to everybody. If you don't celebrate Christmas, happy holiday season as 2025 comes to a close. Coming up here on the show, updated Niners playoff path and how San Francisco can still get that number one seed in the NFC. I do want to begin here. Anytime we reach and surpass a subscriber milestone, it's all thanks to all of you and your continued support of everything that we do here on the show. We just surpassed 185,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so for daily elite Niners coverage right here on YouTube. So on Monday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers beating the Indianapolis Colts 48-27. A lot of changes inside the NFC playoff picture with two big games remaining for the Niners. At home against the Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football, and then Week 18 divisional rivalry game. It's going to be hostile against the Seattle Seahawks. Last night, the Niners putting up a near 50-burger against the Colts, winning that game by 21 points and 3 touchdowns, 48-27 the final. Of course, the story of the game, Brock Purdy had the game of his career, 25-34, 295 yards, so efficient, 5 touchdowns. He became the first Niners quarterback since Steve Young to throw 5 touchdowns in a game. The only quarterbacks in Niners franchise history who have thrown 5 tutties in a ball game. Purdy, Young, and then the great Joe Montana. I also really liked how balanced this Niners offense was. You had Purdy airing it out for 5 touchdowns and nearly 300 yards. George Kittle going over 100 yards. Jauan Jennings had yet another touchdown. He has 7 in his last 7 games. But then the Niners' ground game was really good. And this offensive line has really improved as the season has progressed. Open up some running lanes for Christian McCaffrey. 21 carries for 117 yards. Then he had 2 touchdowns through the air as part of Purdy's 5. This Niners defense definitely still a concern. At times they got sliced and diced by the 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, but after giving up 2 touchdowns on the first 2 drives of the game, I thought this Niners defense was a lot better after those 2 drives in the final 7. They also did a better job against the run, holding Jonathan Taylor to only 46 yards on 16 carries. Alec Pierce, really good game. He's a free agent after this year. Wouldn't mind seeing him in a Niners uniform. I think Kyle Shanahan would love him. Long, tall, lengthy, very athletic. He had 4 catches for 86 yards and both those touchdowns from Phillip Rivers. And what a year this has been for San Francisco here. Remember all the talk, right? We discussed it here on the show. It was supposed to be a reset year. Some people pinned it as a rebuild year. Well, with 2 games remaining, the Niners are 11-4. I predicted them to go 11-6. Shoot, they could be a 13-4 ball club. I don't think anybody predicted that, right? The Niners this offseason going into this year and currently eating $103 million in dead cap money. Purdy was out for 8 games. Mac Jones went 5-3. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner out for the year. And so from top to bottom for this organization, I just look at this as an organizational-wide win for San Francisco, and this is why I've said for years, this is one of the best organizations in the sport, one of the most successful organizations in the history of sports, just one of the best well-run teams, well-oiled teams in the NFL. And so, with 2 games left, obviously we're starting to look ahead to the playoffs and the playoff picture for the Niners. San Francisco still has a realistic path to get the number 1 seed in the NFC. And isn't this crazy? Niners right now are 11-4 on the year. 2 games left. Huge game on Sunday night against the Chicago Bears. Week 18 rivalry game against the Seattle Seahawks where the Niners are going to be wearing their all-black maroon font jerseys. And San Francisco has now won 5 games in a row. They have an opportunity, if they keep on winning, to play their next 5 games all at Levi's Stadium. Why? Because if they win in the wild card round, divisional round, NFC Championship game, in the Super Bowl, which happens to be at Levi's Stadium, they wouldn't have to travel to play in Super Bowl 60. If they get that first round bye, you play the last 2 games at home, then 3 games at home at Levi's Stadium. what a situation this is shaping up to be for San Francisco here. And by beating the Indianapolis Colts, the Niners, of course, improved their record. They won their 5th game in a row, but they also moved ahead of the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC playoff picture. The Rams, they were up 30-14 in the 4th quarter against Seattle on Thursday night, one of the best games of the NFL here in 2025. But the Rams then lose that game. Niners win. And so now the Rams drop down to the number 6 seed in the conference. Seattle moves up to the 1 seed here in the NFC. The Bears, in another wild, insane game, came back to beat the Green Bay Packers prior to recovering that onside kick. Chicago had a 0.4% chance of winning that game. Now they're the 2 seed. Eagles, they've clinched a playoff spot as well. The 3 seed, they won the NFC East. Panthers, Buccaneers still duking it out to see who wins the NFC South. And then the other team we haven't mentioned, the Green Bay Packers, there in that 7th spot at 9-5-1. So the pathway for the Niners here, pretty simple, all things considered. All the Niners have to do to get the number 1 seed is to win out against the Bears at home and against the Seahawks to end the year. And we're going to talk more about that coming up here in just a moment. But we're talking about some Niners playoff football here. It's on the horizon. Regardless of what happens the last 2 games, San Francisco playoff bound. So if you're excited for some Niners playoff football after a year hiatus last year, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Let's get to our sponsor real quick. Today's 49ers Report is brought to you by PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Sign up today, join the millions of users, and everybody's favorite PrizePicks holiday promotion is back. 7 days of Picksmas. PrizePicks is giving out 7 days of deals all the way through Christmas Day, including a Christmas Day max discount. A couple of games on Christmas, by the way. Picksmas did start on December 20th, so download the app today and unwrap those deals. It's a holiday season, best time of year for sports, ball games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes, all happening here. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right. That place is PrizePicks. And on Monday night, we were right. 3 for 3, knocking it out of the park. Bang! Christian McCaffrey more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. How about 2 tutties for him? George Kittle more than 61.5 receiving yards. How about number 85 going over 100 yards in the ball game? And then Phillip Rivers threw for damn near 300 yards. Grandpa Phillip more than 159.5 passing yards. More on that as well. So our selection's able to hit. That's as easy as it is to play PrizePicks. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, going back to that point that I just referenced here, to get the number 1 seed, all the Niners have to do is win out at home against the Chicago Bears on Sunday night. And then in Week 18, the rivalry juice is going to be flowing at Levi's Stadium against the Seattle Seahawks. And if the Niners win out here in the regular season, that will give San Francisco 7 wins in a row to end the 2025 campaign. And if the Niners get that number 1 seed and they win in the divisional round and then in the NFC Championship game, after getting that first round bye in the wild card round, that's what happens when you get that top seed in the conference, the Niners could host and play in Super Bowl 60 at Levi's Stadium. They wouldn't have to travel from this point forward. The last time they would have gotten on a plane, if they can make it to the Super Bowl, was for the Monday Night Football game against Indianapolis late in December. What a story that can end up being for the Niners in what was supposed to be a reset year, which is turning into a magical year for the Niners. So you look ahead to Week 17, Bears, Niners, San Francisco, the home team here, welcoming in a Chicago team that has a couple of days as far as the rest advantage goes in their favor. They played on Saturday at home. Niners played on Monday night, East Coast time zone, against Indy. And so the Bears have a couple more days to prepare for San Francisco. The over-under for this game, odds makers expecting some points to be scored, 52.5. And the Niners, though, 3-point favorites. We'll be live for this game here on the show for another watch party. Kickoff set for 8:20 p.m. Eastern, 5:20 p.m. Pacific. The Bears also vying for the number 1 seed here. We showed you their record a little bit earlier, duking it out between two of the top teams in the NFL and in the NFC. Since starting 0-2, Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, they've been on fire. They are 11-2 since starting the year winless, and that comes after a wild win on Saturday against Green Bay. So that is step number one for San Francisco. Can't look ahead of Chicago because they're a really quality ball club. But then, week 18, this game is coming up around the corner. It's on the horizon. Niners, Seahawks. We don't know when this game is going to take place yet. NFL is going to decide that after week 17. Hopefully, it's the Sunday night game. I think there's a chance it could be moved to Saturday potentially, although I think that would be somewhat surprising. But this could be the Sunday night game to decide the division, the number one seed. If not that, then a certain seed inside the NFC. The Niners, as of right now, 1.5-point favorites at home. The over-under at 48.5. San Francisco went on the road to beat the Seahawks in week 1. Like the Bears, Seahawks also hot. Since losing week 1 to the Niners, the Seahawks 11-3 from the opening weekend of the season. If the Seahawks win out, that would, of course, include a win against the Niners in week 18. They travel to Carolina this week. Carolina has a lot to play for. Then the Seahawks get the number one seed. Do not sleep on the Rams. We haven't talked about the Rams in depth yet here, but we're going to do that right now. The Rams can still get home field advantage in the NFC. But by losing on Thursday night, they lost control as far as their destiny goes. They have to win out, and then they have to get some help from some other teams after losing that crazy game against the Seahawks. Now, week 17, Rams will be on the road to play the Falcons on Monday Night Football. I thought it was Sunday Night Football, but it's Monday Night Football. The Rams, 8-point favorites. But I will say this Atlanta team has started to play a little bit better with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, and he's brought out the best in Kyle Pitts. Raheem Morris fighting to keep his job. He's making things complicated because the Falcons are playing well toward the end of the year. Over-under for that game at 49.5. And then the Rams, week 18, will play host to an Arizona Cardinals team that can barely field a roster right now. Walter Nolan out for the year. Brutal injury for him. Josh Sweat got hurt as well. And so the Rams, among all these teams that we've been talking about, Niners, Seahawks, Bears, have the easiest remaining schedule. They're also 9.5-point favorites here. But like we know, anything can happen across the NFL at any given time. For the Rams to get the number one seed, they will need the Seahawks, Bears, and Niners to finish with at least one more loss in the remaining two games. Speaking of the Niners here, let's go back to them. Getting the 5 seed, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. They would play the winner of the NFC South, either Carolina, who they beat, or Tampa Bay, who they lost to in a close game when Mac Jones played, not Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy plays like he did against the Colts. I like the Niners' chances. And in that game, the emotional toll of losing Fred Warner, and you play that game on the road. So I don't think the 5 seed is a horrible thing. You get that 4-5 matchup, completely winnable game to move on to the divisional round. If the Niners get the number 6 seed, that is a likely trip to Philadelphia because Philadelphia probably going to end up in that 3 spot, and that will be an intense ball game as well. So hopefully we outlined and broke everything down in a very simplified manner for all of you. That's what we try to do here on the show, in addition to giving you fantastic coverage. Don't forget to give me a follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Chase_Senior. Just started the TikTok page, so hit me up over there. Thanks for your support.